The Premier League race is heating up, something that maybe not a lot of people would have thought about back in December, given the fact that Arsenal had such an advantage. And I'm joined today by ESPN's Janusz Michallik. We're going to dive in deeper as to how this title race is really heating up as of late. Janusz, as always, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Matthew, for having me.
So I guess we'll start with the obvious, that Arsenal are no longer in that, spot where they were in December, where many people thought it's Arsenal season. There's really nothing that can really stop them. And as of late, they've been dropping points. But when you look at the head-to-head between Arsenal and Man City, since January 1st, as of February 27th, they have identical records: 4 wins, 4 draws, and a defeat, 16 of a possible 27 points. And these two have 2 important meetings: a Leagues Cup final on March 22nd at Wembley, and then a big clash at the Etihad Stadium between the two. I'll ask from the get-go, are Arsenal still the favorites? Because it certainly feels like the momentum is with Man City.
Yes, I mean, the table is deceptive, right? Because City has to play an extra game, and so the pressure is on them. Just like we're having a conversation at this moment. It's tight, and they've dropped points. But Manchester City, as you just said, have done it as well, right? So it's not a given. This is not the Manchester City of a few years back where it's automatic. By now, if you remember Manchester City at their absolute best, they were on a 10, 11, 12, 13 game winning streak. That hasn't materialized. If you look at their squad, that's a small rebuild as well. Injuries, as others have it, they're also not convincing. So I'd have to say it's still Arsenal. The only difference and the only reason I'm hesitant is that Arsenal don't know how to do it. They don't have the experience, right? And that's why, and it's not so easy. And look, Arsenal, let's put this out there, to kind of answer this a little bit backwards. Arsenal, in my opinion, have the best squad, best team in the Premier League. For years, they fought to establish this. Matter of fact, if you look at last season, the season before, they came close, but some of the reasons they didn't was because the squad wasn't deep enough. And now, if you look at they're on their bench, they're relatively healthy right now. I think that's a huge advantage when it comes to them. But of course, it's going to be tight, and it's going to be once again up to Arsenal to see if they keep the nerve, because that's the only thing that's about, right? That almost sensational pressure on Arsenal from every corner. Right. Still not believing it, because until they do it, that's just the way it goes.
Well, you brought up experience, and we saw that 2 years ago when they had that lead, and then Man City came back at the end of the season and ended up being champions. So I want to ask you this, because we mentioned there's that League Cup final on March 22nd, and whether Arsenal win it or not, say they do win it, but they miss out on the Premier League, they miss out on the Champions League. Is Mikel Arteta back next season if Arsenal fail to win either the Premier League or the Champions League?
I do think he is. I mean, if you look at his position at Arsenal, I mean, he's got that little bit of what Sir Alex Ferguson had in the past. Maybe Unai Emery has at Aston Villa, something that now is gone, right? Which is, I don't want to say absolute control, but pretty much he runs the club. I mean, he really does run the club. So because of that, there won't be too many people above him that are going to sit down and say, hey, we're getting better. We're making tons of money. Yes, we have to spend to get to where we are. Yes, the number one prize, which is clearly a Premier League over even Champions League, is not here, but we're closer and closer and closer. And then, because if there were voices against it, which I would understand, right? I mean, he's had a long time. So on one, who do you get there that will guarantee you walking in and kind of molding this team in such way where you can say, well, next year with this man, we're going to definitely win the Premier League. So I think it'd be dangerous. And this process and progress, when we hear about from managers, it kind of gets old, doesn't it? Because you say it's here now. But look, he came into Arsenal first 2 seasons, 8th place, right? Slowly but surely. I mean, what were some of the questions? Why were they 8th? Why did they have to get Mikel Arteta? I mean, they didn't have the spine. They didn't have the strength. We always talked about they don't have 2 proper center backs. They had 5 center backs back then. And if you put them all together, there wouldn't be one, right? conceding goals. They didn't have the spine and, what do you say, Patrick Vieira. That's all we talked about. The man's been retired for ages. They don't have a player like that. Declan Rice, they do. You look at the back, Saliba, Gabriel, right? I mean, very good goalkeeper. Last year, what did they have? Center forward. And up until just a couple of weeks ago, we still doubted, and we can still doubt. But Jokic is coming through. I mean, the guy's scoring every game just about now.
Just about it.
And you have others that can play in that position and can do it. So would I be shocked if they let him go? No, because I mean, nothing shocks me. But again, there's so much money being spent, time's being invested, and they still haven't seen that through. But by the same token, I think that it's just a matter of time. I think if they continue in the direction that they're going, really good in the Champions League last year. Look at them this season: 8 games, 8 wins, favorites now, right?
This morning to the.
Was that?
Did you see their path in the
Yeah. I mean, it's it's relatively good. You have Leverkusen. Okay, I mean, nothing's going to be easy, but yeah, I mean, the right side of the bracket is way, way easier than the one on the left. So,
Right.
No, I think I got a feeling, regardless of what I mean, they have. I mean, it would help if they beat Man City in the cup, right? Because it's a trophy, and if somehow they don't win it and City wins it, you can still say, well, we're really, really close. The opinion will be divided, but I mean, no matter what name you threw at me, I don't think it's a guarantee that. I mean, how much better can Arsenal get, right? I mean, very good defensively, scoring goals, great on set pieces, great depth. And you say to yourself, well, that's what happens. There's always 1 or 2 clubs that are excellent. I mean, to a degree, Liverpool had to go through that, right? I mean,
Right.
98 points, 97 points, whatever it was. That's how it goes. It's too easy to say that it would be just Arsenal failure. You'd have to say, well, Manchester City are Manchester City. They know how to do it. And, look at that squad. I mean, if anything, they've been underperforming.
You brought up Gyökeres scoring pretty much every game. They brought in a guy like Antoine Semenyo from Bournemouth, and he has 5 goals, 2 assists in his first 10 games with Man City in all competitions. When you look at the players that City brought in, also a guy like Marguehi in the winter transfer market, how important are those guys? And a guy like Semenyo, could he be an X factor for this Man City team moving forward?
Well, he already is, right? I mean, it was a great move from the standpoint that obviously, you can at least count on seamless transition, which has happened, right? The guy didn't come from the outside; he came from Bournemouth, scoring goals there. Now, amongst better players around him, obviously, for him, the City name of the club wasn't that big of an issue, right? But in terms of Premier League, being used to what the league's all about and what it takes, it was a great move. Guehi, obviously, it was one that was, to a degree, very much needed, because Joško Gvardiol is an excellent player, one of the best defenders. I mean, he was great when he was playing left back, and we all knew that he was a center back. It took him a while, right? So at the time when Joško Gvardiol goes out for a long period of time, also around that time, remember, Ruben Dias was injured as well. I mean, they had to do something. I don't know if necessarily, because Guehi, remember, I mean, he was pretty much signed for Liverpool. Liverpool wanted to do it. Well, Liverpool would have done it probably in the summer, right? We talked about that. And City probably wouldn't have, I don't know if they would have gone after him, right? I think they wouldn't. They did it more because of the necessity than anything else.
So we talk about Arsenal. You can argue whether London is red or London is blue. Chelsea, in this case, are currently finding themselves in a hole where a couple weeks ago they were in the top 4. It seemed like, okay, Champions League football will come back next season, but it kind of looks like they're in a bit of a jeopardy right now. And you look at Liam Rosenior, he's undefeated in the Premier League since taking over for Enzo Maresca. But when I look at this recent run of games for Chelsea, I feel like it's a very small sample size that's creating a false narrative for Chelsea, because you're 4-2-0, you got 14 of a possible 18 points. But hear this out. 5 of those 6 games are against teams in the bottom half of the table, 4 of which are against teams that are currently finding themselves in the bottom five. You blew a 2-0 lead to Leeds at home in a game where you were in complete control. And last week you had that 1-1 draw against Burnley in a game where it doesn't matter if you're down to 10 men, you're at home, you're Chelsea Football Club, you're a serious club. We've seen what this team have done to not get the full 3 points there. It's an issue. And you look at their next 5 fixtures ahead, it really puts kind of a question as to where this team is headed, because you play Arsenal away at the Emirates, then you got Villa midweek in a game where you kind of are happy you're playing Villa now, given the fact that they're in the form that they're in, because had this game been in November, December, I don't think Chelsea will get anything out of it. Then you play Newcastle home, and then after the international break, you play City and United. What are your early impressions on Rosenior so far, and what do you think of the way Chelsea have been playing?
Well, for a relatively inexperienced manager, he's done a pretty good job, right? The issue with Chelsea is, I think, twofold. First, without making any excuses, I still think, I mean, look at this. This is still a team in progress. I mean, it really is. I mean, the amount of players they've bought, I think, in a crazy way, what worked against them was that they unexpectedly made the Champions League last year, right? Because, nobody thought last year with so many young players. Remember the locker room where they had 40, 50 players there. There was enough space, Maresca had to really say, hey, these other guys need to train elsewhere. I can't be dealing with that squad. I'm not even mentioning, players that have been loaned out and all of that. So that created extra pressure because, very early they've made the Champions League, and you're hoping, and you're saying to yourself that, Chelsea should have been higher in the table. Should they really? I mean, look at Liverpool, they're champions, right? They've struggled. Look at Manchester United. I mean, this is just recently, right? Coaching change, and somehow they're getting it done, and they got involved, which you said probably shouldn't have been the case. So they could have been there. Villa, let's be honest, with the start of the season that they had was awful. They didn't buy anybody.
Imagine if they would have won some of those games where they
right. So their staying power is incredible because they're still so short on numbers and all that. But at the same token, they're big clubs, right? You know that at some stage Manchester United is going to come good. You know that Liverpool is going to come good. So I think where they are right now is okay. It's about where you say to yourself, look, this year they're getting 5 places in the Champions League. So that's still okay. So that's the first part, because I mentioned it's twofold. The second one is that, they've bought a lot of players, but, you can't be at the top fighting for the top spots if you don't have defense, and they don't. I mean, they're top heavy. That's what they did. They bought a lot of players. They're trying to put that puzzle together, which, by the way, it's not terrible, is it, right? Because João Pedro was great in the Club World Cup. When he first came in, lit the world on fire. Then he had a drop-off in form, right? And all of a sudden, lately, he's scoring again, left and right? So there's a player there because he's proven it now after a bad patch for him. Obviously, Cole Palmer, some injuries. Pedro Neto, excellent player. Estevao showing the promise that we all know that he has, right? And it's just a question at 17, how do you fit all those pieces? But there's enough there, right? You have Caicedo, excellent. I mean, one of the best holding, top 3 in the league. You have Enzo Fernandez, who's starting to look the part, right? Over 100 million, whatever it was. But defensively, look, Levi Colwill, that's a big loss. I mean, look, he's missed the entire season just about, right? I mean, I can't even remember when he got injured. But, Wesley Fofana has been injured ever since I can remember. Him coming to Chelsea, I don't know if he's back. Achimpong is young, but there's no stability there. I don't know if Chelsea played one game with the same back four, maybe 2. But I bet you if somebody did research, I don't know that for a fact, but it doesn't seem to me they've had that. So there are a lot of question marks. Cucurella, obviously steady Eddie in this league to a degree. Malo Gusto, that's not the answer. Reece James is a better right back, I think, but with him it's always so that is your answer why they, I think, up and down a little bit, because that solidity that they have in the midfield and even on top, right? You look in the back, it just isn't there. There's no time to establish partnerships. We just talked about Arsenal. I mean, in the past, it was a big issue. Now you have 2 rocks and 2 players that play game in and game out for the most part. They understand each other. They know each other. They cover for each other. There's so much strength in that partnership. Chelsea doesn't have that anywhere. That is important, but in Premier League even more so, with the pace of the game, where everything's happening yesterday. You can't be throwing the Achimpongas, Badia Shields, and whoever, I'm trying to think who else comes in there. Chalobas, right?
Mhm.
Kind of in and out, every game something different, and hope that that's going to work. So I think look, we can complain about the money they spend, should they be high, but to be honest with you, I think we're about there should be. I really get that feeling.
Well, you mentioned that last season, not a lot of people maybe expected Chelsea to be in the Champions League. Do you think this season they deserve to be there? We just discussed their flaws, and you look at the teams around them. You have a team like Arsenal and City that are practically a lock. You got Villa.
Well, look, there's going to be, they deserve, there's going to be one team that's going to fall out of that.
But out of we look at the teams, right? You got Liverpool knocking on the door. You got United, who have seemed to found their system right now.
But 5 teams go in. Liverpool's at 6, so there's one of them is going to fall out. So this is not a question of deserving or not. They're there.
Okay, I'll rephrase this. Out of those 6 teams, do you see Chelsea being one of those 5 to make the Champions League?
I think they could be, because Liverpool hasn't shown anything yet. I'd like to see what happens once Manchester United loses a game, right, in the Premier League, or 2 maybe in a row. Well, how that reaction is going to be, right? So we'll see where that goes, right? Liverpool, it's okay, but not convincing. And now, Szoboszlai is still out. I think there's an injury too. Who just got injured? So I'll know that for tomorrow because I'm doing the game. But Florian Wirtz is out, and maybe for a longer period of time. Arne Slot said, "Look, normally I know, but I really don't know how long he's going to be out." That's not an encouraging answer for a player that finally started to show his quality that was undeniable. It could be, would I be surprised that all of a sudden Villa start falling like they did? Was it last year? Because they were up there too, right?
Yeah, until the final match day. Yep.
Would I be surprised? No. They're still in the Champions League. These guys got to be exhausted. Unai Emery's playing basically 13, 14 players just about every game. So, you lose 2 in a row or 3 in a row, which is quite possible, and off you go. So, I can tell you, but I'll be just guessing. It's that tight.
Well, we mentioned how Manchester United have suddenly turned the table, and they find themselves currently in the top 4. 10 consecutive games undefeated in the Premier League, and for Michael Carrick, it's 5 wins in his first 6 games in charge. Unlike Rosenior, he was put to the test right away. 2 big wins, a 2-0 win over City and a 3-2 win at the Emirates over Arsenal. What's different about Carrick that's put United in the position they're in right now?
Yeah, let's not reinvent the wheel, right? It's simple. Just put the team in a shape that they enjoy playing in. It's not only that they enjoy playing in, but that they have the players for, right? Because what people forget, we can say this, that, Carrick. I don't know Carrick from a hole in the wall as a manager, right? But I know one thing as a former player, the system's only as good as the players you have, right? The players dictate what system you play. And everybody complained about it, not just pundits, but the players as well. We all knew that they don't have the wing backs to play that sort of a game. It was Amorim wanted to do it, and all of a sudden you have leadership and the experienced player enjoying it, because if Amorim was there, Maguire probably never plays. Now all of a sudden he looks the part because you can put him in a system that's good for him, that he enjoys playing. Luke Shaw, you're not asking to do something that he can't do effectively. Be good on both sides of the ball. He's always been a player that's good defensively, that likes to get involved in the attack from a deeper position, where because he's not a speedster. So if you play him as a wing back and you play him higher, it's that much more difficult to recover for him defensively. So it's as simple as that. Protected by 2 players, you have 4 players ahead, right? And it's just as simple as that. Kind of organized, taking all the excuses out of it, because under Amorim, he provided everybody, including players, with million excuses when something didn't go right. Carrick probably said, "Look, again, I'm no Pep Guardiola. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. Just keep it simple, something that Manchester United know for decades. Play 4-2-3-1. I have the players that understand the system, that feel good in the system, and they feel comfortable with the system. And I think it's as simple as that.
Well, you bring in the players, and there's one player in particular, Benjamin Sesko. He had a rather slow start, but he's really become a vital piece to United's recent success. In his last 6 games in all competitions, he has 6 goals, including a winner against Everton, a late equalizer against West Ham, and a late winner against Fulham. When you have guys like Mbomo and Cunha firing on all cylinders, you got Bruno Fernandes being the Bruno Fernandes that we know of. How important is Sesko and company to this United team when they're playing at the level that they have
Well,
been lately?
Sesko, I'm not surprised. I don't want to say I always knew, but I did. I mean, this is, center forward that, again, within that system is going to thrive. Why? I mean, you have a wide game, different wide game than, again, players on the wing or as wing backs that are responsible for, 90 yards of the pitch.
Right.
So now they can think about attacking. You have Bruno Fernandes, who all of a sudden is much closer to Sesko, right? Because remember, under the old regime, he was very often playing much, much deeper in that sixth position and all of that. So Mbomo, we knew his quality. I think even when they weren't playing well, I mean, he was always dangerous, right? So he's a player that can provide, that can score. You obviously have Nunes on the other side. So no surprise here for a player that's not just your simple number 9, because he's got pace for as big as he is, for as tall as he is, very soft feet, can assist, can score, has got the pace to get in front of goal, which he showed in the last game, I believe, that one goal. I think, remember, games are blending in a little bit to me. So I'm not surprised. We've seen his quality, and again, probably, a simple adjustment for him. This is how he likes to play as well. So no surprise with Sesko. I thought his quality is going to come sooner or later. Remember in the previous regime, his chances were also few and far between. So it's kind of hard to judge him, right? Even now, it's not like he's an absolute sure thing, right? But now with the
He's there. Yeah.
Now with the last few games, I think he's just shown everybody that he deserves to be the number 9.
Well, you're probably going to hate me for this, but I'm going to bring back the Champions League talk here. United haven't been in the Champions League since finishing last in their Champions League group in the 23-24 season, but given the way they've been playing as of late, it certainly looks like Champions League football might be coming back to Old Trafford next season.
Yeah, I think it will. I think they, barring any major, when I say, major injuries, right? Like you get 2 or 3 key guys falling off, because that bench is still, you can say questionable, right? I think you're going to be there. 5 places. Is it possible for them to have 6?
One of them,
if one wins the league, and again, I didn't. We're not there at that stage where I.
yeah, I think it's if the Champions League is won, then it gets
By somebody other than the winner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, let's just keep it at 5 at the moment, because that's what it is. So, I would think that they will be there. The test, of course, will be 1 or 2 losses. See if, because when you have a momentum like this, it's sometimes crazy how you win it, right? How you just see it through, and they've done it certainly. Late in the games, kind of you push on. When you lose a game or 2, then again it's going to be like, okay, is this the real United back again, right? Or is Carrick good enough? Was he lucky? That you're going to be getting those questions, regardless of what sort of manager he is. But if I had to guess and put small amount of money on it, I put it on Manchester United being in the Champions League next season.
It's definitely been a small sample size, but it's definitely possible. I'll end it off here for us. Blank will win the Premier League.
Recently I said that Manchester City are going to see it through, but I'm going to go with Arsenal here, simply because, I can appreciate the amount of time and the build Mikel Arteta has had, right? What is he there now? 6 years or something like that. Seventh year now. So 6 full seasons, first 2 seasons, 8th places.
An FA Cup.
Right. That slow build going up and up and building a team, that squad, that strength, the set pieces, and all of that. As a former player, I'm talking as a player more than a pundit right now. I can appreciate that. And I kind of would have liked to see that through simply because they are the best team. They are the best team right now. When I watch them play, even when they're not at their best, right? But there's plenty of, like Manchester City hardly ever impressed. I want to give him credit, for staying with Arsenal, but I'm going to go Arsenal here.
All right. So the next time you're back on the show, we're going to revisit this. And then
Yeah, I have a backup plan because pretty long ago, people thought I was crazy. I said, our City are going to win it somewhere. I don't know. Just I had that feeling that City is going to get it together and they have that experience. So yeah, if I lose here, maybe I win at ESPN somewhere, wherever I said it.
well,
No, but I honestly, if Arsenal have won it, I could, I and everybody else could say, you know what, they deserved it, right? It wasn't going to be a fluke.
well, it's been a long time coming, so we'll definitely see how Arsenal play out. A lot of football is coming thick and fast. It's going to be a good one. Janusz, as always, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.